Well, welcome to Remarkable Alumni Advice, a six-part mini-series aimed to provide you with the guidance, help, tips and tricks to apply for our upcoming accelerator program. This year, we're calling all changemakers who are passionate about removing barriers for people living with disability. Whether you're at the start of your journey or have an exciting product already in the pipeline, we are keen to hear from you. I'm delighted to be joined today by Carolyn Mee, who was not only awarded the Women in Digital Innovator of the Year for 2020, but also founder of Sound Scouts. Sound Scouts is a free, clinically proven app that enables hearing to be checked in any quiet place, effectively and reliably. Sound Scouts was part of the Remarkable's first ever cohort back in 2016. So if there's anyone who can talk to their remarkable journey and experience building a startup, it's you, Carolyn. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about yourself and the company that you built, Sound Scouts?
Thank you for that introduction. Definitely always happy to talk about the Sound Scouts and share our story. Hopefully hearing our story can inspire others, because I think you need role models and you need examples, and I think that's one of the great things about Remarkable, that you go from being on your own in the sector to having this support network of people around you. But Sound Scouts is aimed at delivering an accessible hearing test to children of all ages. And what we found was that in the hearing space, there's plenty of hearing tests, but they're all designed for adults. And hearing tests, as you'll probably know, are notoriously boring. And what we wanted to do was make hearing tests engaging, to improve the data that we were collecting, and also to make them accessible. In Australia in particular, babies have their hearing tested at birth, but then there's no follow-up hearing checks. And this is a real problem, because what we're seeing is that there are many children who are starting school and a lot of them are going undetected, having their hearing loss undetected for a number of years. And of course, every year that loss goes undetected, that those children are falling behind, not only academically, which is a big issue, but also socially. And those children often lose their self-esteem. And while you might be able to catch up academically, regaining that lost self-esteem can be a big, and a slow process. So for us, we really wanted to create something that could be, easily adopted, that was scalable, could address the sort of shortcomings around the number of audiologists that are available. We've got over 300,000 children who start school in Australia each year, and currently those children, for the most part, don't have access to a hearing screen. So certainly, they were our primary market, and really being able to pick their loss up, get them treated, and ensure that they're able to reach their full potential. So that was at the core of Sound Scouts. We're certainly now at a stage where we've released in international markets, and we're looking to build those markets. And we're also just in the process of expanding our offering with other affiliated products. So it has been a long journey, but it's a fascinating and a very rewarding journey.
That's amazing, Carolyn. Thanks so much for sharing. It's amazing to hear your journey. Over the last 5 years now, 4 or 5 years. And the huge impact that you've had in doing so as well. Carolyn, many people don't know what to expect from an accelerator program. In your experience, what can those thinking of applying for SID 21, what can they expect?
Well, I think, as I touched upon, in my previous answer, I think you go from to be accepted into a program, you go from being on your own, isolated, which, I'd been very much isolated for, the early development period of Sound Scouts. And I don't mean completely isolated in terms of having a network of support. So I worked closely with my team, but we just didn't have that safety net who can we ring for advice on this, and who can, perhaps offer us some insights in this area. So I think for us, the most significant thing that you gain from being part of an accelerated program like Remarkable is this wonderful network of people, and this beautiful safety net where if you're in trouble, if you have an issue you can't solve, suddenly you've got people that you can call, and you also, I don't want to be too corny, but you do have this family. Remarkable has become a family, and the people that I met, I'm still friends with, and I see socially, but also from a business perspective, I definitely draw upon the resources that are available to our company. So that's phenomenal. I think in more practical terms, if you're in the early stages of building a company, being part of the program offers you a great overview of the things that you really need to consider. Be that from how do I protect my IP? How do I effectively market my business? What kind of tech stack should I be looking at? And I think, with the masterclasses that Remarkable run is a great oversight to all the things that you really need to consider, because, just getting your IP wrong and how you manage your IP could be the difference between, being a successful company or not. Or being, if you wish to exit down the track, being able to, maximize your, the value of your company for that exit. Obviously, I think second to none, Remarkable has the most extraordinary, connections and, industry connections. And I think because of the space and, and people's willingness to support, that accessibility tech, Remarkable just draws on this deep, rich well of connections. And there's just people that teach those masterclasses that you would never have access to. So I mean that's very much gold that the program offers. So yeah, I think there's a number of things there that are yes, you can't want for more really in a program.
That's amazing to hear. I love your reference to the network here at Remarkable as the deep well. It certainly is, and I'm always every day blown away by the support that our mental network and the wider network volunteer to support our startups and founders. So no, thanks for that.
Yeah, no, brilliant.
Applying to an accelerator program, we've talked a little bit about what's on offer, but applying to the actual program in the first place, I know can be hugely daunting. What would be your top 3 tips to those thinking of applying?
Yeah, look, I think it's applying for a program. It's sort of similar to applying for grants, and it's really about taking those first steps and really, I guess one of the key things that you need to do is you need to really be able to articulate your problem and the problem that you're solving, and how your solution addresses that problem. So I think it's something that I remember being in the midst of the Remarkable program, and people talk about the elevator pitch. Well, I was stuck in a stairwell with one of the VCs, social impact VCs, and it was like, well, here we go, here's my 30-second elevator pitch, and it's like, here's the problem, and here's why Sound Scouts is the solution. So from day one, it's really about honing your value proposition. What's the problem, and how are you addressing it? I think the other thing, I think it's important, like all applications as well, they can be daunting when you first open them up, and so I'd really encourage people not to be put out by the process of filling in an application form. Tackle it step by step. If make sure, give some really practical advice here, but create a Word document, put your answers in the Word document, and and then when you think through the answers, you've got them there for next time if you're not successful, or so when I'm applying for awards and various things, I often I'll look back on the previous answers I've given, and trust me, everything that you write down about your business and about your ideas is valuable. It's an asset that you will come back to, and it hones your thinking. So even if you're not successful, the process of going through an application is highly valuable. I think the other advice is it's well, we were talking previously about one of the other companies, Handy, and that has developed sex toys for people with disabilities, and I think there is no issue that should be off limits. So I think if you're solving a problem, don't think necessarily, obviously you have to do your research, but there's every chance that that problem hasn't been solved. And if you're thinking it's a problem for one person, then it's likely to be a problem for other people. So, you might be exploring, does my business, fit the Remarkable Accelerator, program opportunity? Like, let the Remarkable team be the judge. Don't self-censor. Put in an application, and if you're solving a problem and it's in the accessibility space, then there's an opportunity, a potential opportunity for you. And then finally, I would just say to back yourself. Take that first step, put in the application, and and just start the process, because you have to take the first step.
Absolutely. You heard it here first. Back yourself. It's amazing advice. And thanks for sharing that with us, Carolyn. Finally, and I know this is always a daunting question from us to you now, we like to leave everyone with some inspiration. As mentioned, this year, we are calling on all change makers to apply to this year's program. So who has been the most remarkable change maker in your founder journey, and kind of how has that shaped your decisions along the way?
It is a super tricky question, because there's so many inspiring people that you meet, and now that I'm involved with Remarkable, I meet more inspiring people than I've ever met before, to be honest. If I look back at the start of my journey, and just at my my life, I think a couple of people stand out, and they precede technology. But Fred Hollows would have to be one of the people that really inspired me, and I always said I want to be to hearing what Fred Hollows was to sight. And so certainly he was a very inspiring character. And then the other person who I found really inspiring was Catherine Hamlin, and her work was just a lifetime of work, and just incredibly extraordinary. What an extraordinary woman. If you don't know who she is, I challenge you to look her up and be inspired. And I think for me, for both of them, they demonstrated that one person can make a difference. So I think if you're sitting there saying, I've got this idea, and but I'm only one person, again, I'll say back yourself, because one person can make an extraordinary difference. And it's really about taking that first step, and hopefully for you, that first step may be remarkable.
That's awesome, Carolyn. Thank you so much, and thanks for sharing not just your advice but also your remarkable journey. And congratulations again for this year's award. If you've been inspired by Carolyn's journey and want to follow in these footsteps, removing barriers for people living with disability, then the Remarkable SID21 journey and program is for you. Expressions of interest are now open, and the link can be found along with this post. Thank you for watching.